Hello. And I know this is a first. I normally do podcasting, not videos, but this is a test. And I wanted to see how I do in my new adventure, because I'm all about embracing new things and not being afraid to be wrong. So there's plenty of room for error in what I'm doing right now, but that's okay. So this is a new broadcast format for In the Pursuit of Joy, my podcast that is published weekly, Monday nights, 8 p.m. EDT, now that we sprung forward. And in spring, even though I'm looking at the weather today, spring is having a hard time taking over the season. And I wanted to introduce video as well, which will be published to my YouTube channel, which is Emanuele Business Solutions and Travel. And I know it's a long name. If you want to subscribe, please do. Just reach out to me through SoundCloud. I also publish in SoundCloud and will be appearing hopefully pretty shortly on Apple Podcasts. And again, that's going to be on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's all about the pursuit of joy. So I want to see if this is a format that will work and will make me happy. So I'm not even going to stop recording at this time. I can only do this so many times and then beat myself up about how well it turned out. So I'm just going to let it roll, and we'll maybe go through it later on and see how it turns out. And if I'm glad with it, it makes me happy, then I'll go with it. If not, I'll have to do this over. But I have other projects that I have to work on, so you have to trust yourself sometimes. So last week, well, first of all, I wanted to give a little bit of background about why I'm podcasting in the first place. Is never in my wildest dreams would I have wanted to podcast. And I didn't see a reason to, but sometimes we need a trigger or a moment where we are forced to activate on something we've been thinking about or wanted to do, but we're too afraid to take actionable steps to make it happen. And I was in that position for a long time. And in the past 2 years, I've been working on getting out of that vicious cycle and actually taking off on my very own. So I'm not atypical from any other person. We're just trying to get out of that box, get outside the box. But a lot of limiting beliefs and thoughts kept me from doing so. Sometimes you take a leap. You quit a job. And like some people you see in articles that they quit a high-paying job to rent or buy an RV, or they just they live the life of a beach bum. At some point in the past, I would have said that's kind of a waste, but today I'm totally taking that back. I have great respect for someone's ability to leave behind the distractions of the physical world to engage in looking inward. And sometimes just leaving behind the things that you thought you had to do is the only way to bring about that kind of change. To look inward is a really hard job, and most of us really don't want to do it because what comes out sometimes is hurtful. It's the stuff that we left behind, and we don't want to look at it anymore, and we're not sure whether we just want to examine it, and I just want to look at it for one more time. Is it just hanging on to something because we cannot transition into the next phase? Or is it that we're digging it up so we can show others how we overcame those problems? So you got two factors there. So in my case, I, in the past 2 years, have been working on this, but I had a side gig and I was creating some content and things that I knew that would be the benefit to other people, but I just never got off the ground. And I found myself in the past year driving to from work, and I knew I was miserable. I don't want to go into great detail. That will come out later on. But I was unhappy, And I was verbalizing this to everyone else at work, and it was another vicious cycle of I want to leave. I wanted to leave the previous year, but I was just waiting for a signal. I don't know if that makes sense. We were waiting for that sign. Is it from above, or is it the 2x4 to the back of your head? What does it take for any of us to make that giant leap of trusting ourselves and detaching from the things we think we need, like that 9 to 5 job, and you hate it, or it seems like total drudgery to you, but you hang on to it because it pays the bills. And I hear this a lot, or it's usually health insurance is expensive, so this big corporation, it pays for insurance. They have a family. I'm sure you've got some of those same reasons yourselves, and you're thinking, yeah, I've said that many times, but just people are terrified. I've talked to other people recently where they say, you're just really brave. I'll tell you what I did. I did nothing. The universe did it for me. It put me out in the middle of nowhere and left me to fend for myself. And when it hit, I was in a state of, okay, I was surprised, but not surprised. And then that transition from surprised, not surprised to, holy shit, I don't have to drive to that job anymore. I don't have to drive to that job anymore. I hated it. I hated the way they treated me. I hated the way I treated myself. I was beating myself for even being there. And I decided to question why I was there. And last year was supposed to be the year I was going to detach from all that. But I just did not do it. I figured, well, I felt kind of bad deep down. I was still beating myself up a little bit. Not in a terrible way, but I was still engaging in this behavior of, I really should have just let it go. And this year, according to my stars, this is going to be the year where I'm going to be on my own, really on my own. Meaning that I'm not going to have all those cool star connections in the universe that are going to just bring stuff to me, and I just have to be keenly aware of how to catch it. And it's going to be a breakthrough year. And I thought nothing of it initially. But the clock, I don't want to talk about time. I don't believe in time anymore. But when that wheel just clicked and it stopped, and it was just me, and suddenly it's just really me. I'm being completely kicked out of what I thought was a sure thing, and no one should think that a job is a sure thing. But I find myself kind of enjoying the moment. I mean, I'm also on a call, and I'm being told of all the people that have to go, it's going to be you. And I have a whole list of reasons why that I saw that as a plausible scenario way, way back. But not saying bad employee or anything, but it's just people just don't like you. You don't fit into the culture. Like I said, it's a long list of things. And you're there for anything more than a year in any job. That's so sucking waste of time. But this isn't a podcast about jobs and how much they suck sometimes. This is about manifestation, and I wanted to give you a little bit of background on the things that happened to me for which I planted seeds several months, maybe a couple of years back. And when they came to fruition, I had to decide, okay, part of my brain, the one that usually gets me into trouble, says, I guess you're just going to have now to start practicing all that bullshit that you tell people about all the time. And I kind of thought about it. That thought actually had some sense into it. It made some sense. So what I discovered was that I didn't die on the spot. In fact, I had a nail appointment that morning, and I was actually looking at my dreadful nails. They're dreadful today. And I just came back from my business trip, and then I was let go the next day. And that was over a weekend, and there was bad weather. And for weeks on end, when it was snowing, and people were involved in crashes, and it was a total mess. And I thought, I have a new car, so I mean, it's safer than the previous vehicle I had. I got into crashes there before, driving that old truck. And when I bought the new car, I felt much more secure because I had, I had a better tool to get me to and from work. But I still dreaded just getting out of my home and actually driving to that place I really hated, that box. And in terrible weather, I said, this is the last year. This is last year. I was saying, this is the last year. I'm going to drive in shitty weather to go to work, to go to a shift work, rotating shifts. And suddenly it came to fruition. And I had to laugh like, dude, I totally disappeared my job. It's gone. I mean, I'm eligible to rehire, but I don't want to go back. And part of my brain's saying, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Nothing. I'm perfect. Just the way I am right this minute. And I said 2 weeks paid leave at the same rate. I thought that was actually generous. And I graciously accepted it. Like, I got money. They're going to cash me out over the next 2 weeks. And another third week, I will get last paycheck. So am I being destitute on the spot? I asked myself. No. Am I dying right now? No. Am I starving? No. I went through this whole list of absurd reasons to engage in panic. And I refused to. And the battle was on. That part of me was pissed. Because what about that? What about this? When, if and when? That hasn't happened. That doesn't even exist. Those conditions do not exist right now. And I had to seize on that moment because it was really important to take control. Because you could go either way. I've been there before. I've lost a job before. But that was a long time ago. But the feeling was not good because you're thinking, which way do I go? What do I want to do? These are normal reactions. But I wanted to respond for a change. I wanted to just breathe oxygen. I'm so happy to be able to wake up in the mornings and breathe oxygen. It was transformative. And the fact that I just totally wrecked that old attitude of, I'm going to fall into a depression. Well, I'm not depressed because I'm not working nights. I'm no longer having to check the schedule to see if I can do some social interaction with someone. Hey, you want to join us? Well, I got to check my schedule. I'm on my phone checking my schedule. I've been around this earth, quite a bit of time. Why am I playing this game? Why am I depending on how I want to live based on the job? And since it's not crying for me, I'm not going to cry for it. And I hadn't been crying for it for a long time. So I was free. And it was a little bit of the euphoric state of being one of the boys stranded on an island in the fashion of the Lord of the Flies, minus the war paint and all the other shenanigans. I found myself enjoying just being in the moment. And I was actually ready, mentally, spiritually, to take it, to trust myself. I just sat at my desk and I said, at home, I got a nail appointment. Yeah, but I'm going to trust myself unconditionally. And I invite you to use that when you're feeling down and you think somebody else is controlling you, the job, the boss. That's a function. That's not a requirement for you. You can choose not to be there. So previous year I said I want to leave on my own terms. If I had left on my own terms, I would have left with no money. And I'm not. And this is not an episode about money, but I will address money. Because money, you can attract money anytime. It's in the things you do, the people you meet. It comes to you. You just have to be ready to accept it. So I made myself ready also to accept that I would have to rely on myself for once. And I was going to be creating value for others. And perhaps that will be a good way to generate an income. And I will leave it at that. Like I said, this is not about money. It's about manifestation. So, like Kevin in Home Alone, I made my family disappear. That was the feeling exactly. And I just giggled like, dude, I gotta go get my nails done. Do you want pink again? And I told my favorite tech, no, bring back that red. Number 155. I'm not saying the brand, but it's someone looked at it one time and mentioned that my nails look like ruby slippers. And I just looked down at my nails and I said, you got it right. They're sparkly, they're red, they're in your face. Red is such a power color, so I want it red. I started to build on creating that positive energy right away. So you have to monitor that. When you're hitting a slump, it doesn't matter what you're going through right now, and you're listening to me, you're just kind of passing by and you thought, what is this podcast about? Just hear me out. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It could be like 10 seconds of you just somebody enraged you for some reason, and it just got you, and you're ruminating about that moment. It's like, let it go. Because suddenly I was no longer in the stressful environment. They got me in that state of mind already. I will address also living in anger. I did that for many years. You do not want to do it. And all of that went away. Got my nails done. It was weekend. I said, I don't have to drive to that job anymore in shitty weather. I'll say it in plain English, shitty weather. Endangering my life for something that's considered essential, and where nobody really treats you like you're essential. They treated us really, and everybody else I left behind, like garbage. You're just a body. You just do the function here. And I'm not just a body. I am an unlimited being. And I'm out of there. They kicked me to the curb, and I'm like, I don't want to go back in any capacity. So since I no longer want to go back to the usual, then I have to be extraordinary. And that's the moment you have to trust yourself, that you will let your heart guide you if that's how you feel. So it's taken me in some really interesting directions. But I also manifested money. I had, this is the first week, and I'm just taking myself out. First of all, I'm doing things I normally don't do. And I'm all grown up. I can take myself out to dinner and drinks, which is weird because that was the night before I was let go. That's the thing that I did when I came back from my trip. I took myself out to dinner. I don't want to go home and cook. It's like 7 p.m. I don't do that when I come home from a trip. There's no way I'm going to do that. And so I went to my usual place here in town and ordered a meal and some appetizers, and I had the most expensive whiskey they had, one of them on the rocks, and it was delicious. And I said, okay. So I spent a couple hours, finally made my way home. The next morning I find out that my services are no longer required. And I really wanted to say really bad, yeah, well, you're no longer, you're not required in my life. So, and I'm speaking from the heart. I don't wish anybody any ill will. I hardly even think about it, except for right now, and I have to mention it, but I feel sorry for them because I was there for such a long time that when I was let go, and I did talk to one insider, and he was asking me, what happened? Because people were let go, and I'm like, I was not privy to any of that. I just went on a business trip, came back from training, done. And it's nothing you did, it was us. Okay, I'm gonna get my nails done. HR will talk to me. I got it. It's not the first time I have to go through that. Big deal. But it will be the last time I will have to go through that in particular. And I was too happy. I'm still euphoric about it. And talking to a coworker, and the voice is like, I'm detecting fear. Like if anybody would thought that would be they would think anybody was going to be let go would have been someone new. But the people that were left behind were actually people that I had actually worked with, trained them for the most part, and gave them daily knowledge and all that, and supported them. And I don't regret that. I do not regret helping somebody else get ahead. But people that were even there less time had been picked up for a promotion and pay raises, and I was purposely left in a corner and to rot. And that's not me. So I was very happy to be gone. But I detected there's a lot of reorganization going on because we were tight in numbers, and just to let one whole person for budgeting, really, it all boiled down to me. I feel ecstatic that I can mean so much. One whole person. That's just a show. Don't go contracting for the government. You'll get hooked on the idea that I keep coming here because they keep throwing money at me, which is why I tell people, what do you do now? I do my own thing. I do a variety of things, but I don't work for money anymore. And it confuses them. And I'm doing my job if I'm confusing you. Working for money versus making money work for you. So there will be an episode about money. But I did manifest money right away. I had some options from a retirement that's just sitting there. I'm not very young, but I'm not very old either. But I'm too young to cash out on a real retirement. So there was money that I could actually summon that I hadn't thought about before. Because again, if you're getting a paycheck, you're not thinking of other ways of generate an income. And that's kind of interesting in its own way. And I thought, I'm sitting in my car doing exactly that, saying to me out loud, I need you to come up with some viable ways to source or generate income. Because for a second, I qualified for unemployment, and I picked up the phone, and the line ahead of me was like 401 persons. And I said, no, that is not a viable option. I hung up that call. I have yet to even go near that place again. It wasn't a place of desperation, by the way. I'm looking at myself, weird camera. I shouldn't even do that. But because I'm recording this episode to be uploaded on YouTube. So it's something I'm playing with. Because I can do it. Why not? So if you missed this and you want to see what I look like, I don't know why, but it's okay. I'm not hiding. And I think I'm gonna be doing this every week podcast. I'll do a simulcast of some sort. I might go live at some point. You never know. So just always make sure to stop by or subscribe to my podcast and go to my YouTube. That would be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. I have some special content. It's just, I'll tell you what else I did. So the year prior to being let go from the last job I ever held, I like that. I had also worked a little bit on a product that I've been developing for mentorship and coaching people to do exactly what's happening live to me right now. Is teaching through showing case studies. So I'm the greatest case study. I can teach it while I'm doing it. But there are a lot of other coaches who use vision boards. And the concept is wonderful because our minds really do pick up visions. They pick up imagery. And that's the language of the soul, is the internal language. Is imagery, is not words. Words we humans figured out there was a more expedient way to communicate with each other and on the physical plane. So language was invented. But when you feed imagery that's good and it shows you the things that you want, you're more likely to pursue them, to take actionable steps to get there. So vision boards are great, but I don't really like to do one vision board because then you have to update it every time something happens. And sometimes people would just print them. It's like a poster. It could be on an actual board, and you just buy a bunch of magazines and you spend money in magazines and you clip them. You start clipping pictures and you do like scrapbooking. I guess that's what it takes. That's what it sounds like to me, scrapbooking. So I do mine electronically. I do have lots of journals. I write a lot, but it never occurred to me to do a physical product. So I was designing one to serve me. So for me, it's different. I actually like to include pictures and words, like you would a narrative, but it's all in first person. And you can do that too. I mean, I do sell this product. I'm not selling it here right this minute, but you can mosey on down to my website and you'll see it's called a Vision Quest book. And that is totally customizable. I guess I am advertising now, then might as well take a sip of what's left of my smoothie. So, because I'm recording this on a Sunday morning, I don't record on Mondays. And I came up with the idea of a glossy picture of what I wanted to manifest. And I had decided last year, you can't see me smiling, but you can on video. It's just wicked stuff. I named it 2022, the year I traveled every month, something like that. And it just has a picture, and it's just, you know how if you've flown before, you look out, if you get that corner spot, and I like windows. I like the window seat, so I can see. And you're looking out, and especially if it's a new place that you've never been to, and you just have to peek. So yeah, I definitely want that window. And it was a picture like that. It wasn't me in the picture, but it was just, I've done that before, but I want to do it again and again and again. How the hell I'm going to travel every month of the new year? I have no idea. It started in January, but that was a business trip. I had not planned that. I just said, yeah, I'll go. It's not going to make big money on that trip, but I will learn something new, and maybe they'll finally, those guys will get to like me a little bit, and that wasn't the case. I was let go, and but it already started. The trip going to be in January, so that's in the new year. So I had to accept that something was happening here, because the door was wide open. And the first question is, how do I take a trip? I mean, I was on a trip in December. I went to a wedding. It was a family event, and that was wonderful. And I kind of wish I had been let go in December. I mean, I know they don't do that during the holidays. I suppose I should be thankful for that. But I would have partied hardy. Like, I definitely would have gone on more trips. But the new year started with a bang. And I was just all over the place on that one. Where do I go? The first thing is, how do I afford this? So I did tap into a financial source, and it's not perfect. I'm going to have to, kind of pay it back, but I had plenty. I had plenty at the time where I could plan things. And one night, about 3 or 4 weeks after being let go, I'm sitting at my desk and I'm enjoying a drink and kind of looking through the internet, and I really forget what it was, but something brought me back to the topic of getting back on the road and traveling, and something popped up about working from home, and that was the trigger. I said, there's no way I'm going back to another job, and they're gonna have to tell me to put a mask on. I can go on and on about that. For medical reasons, and that's not an environment conducive for me to stay or even want to be there. So I decided, how about if it just looks strictly for remote work? And I already know where it's going. It's either your IT, you do social media engagements. Okay, they may not be like right along the things I know how to do, but I could learn. So the thought shifted to, can I retrain? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going back and forth in my head. Yeah, we can retrain. Voices in my head saying, yeah, we've done this before. Okay, let me see what's cool out there. And I stumbled upon something that never even occurred to me before, because who does? Be a travel agent from home. I had to take a sip of my smoothie. Be a travel agent from home. This is a fee involved. Okay, I signed up. I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and explore this. I can do this. Can I? I give myself permission to do something different. So I went online, and then I followed the trail down that rabbit hole, and I thought, it wouldn't be the first time I put money into something that might be stupid, but I'm all open for the possibilities of anything that's new. So I'm not judging at this point. Like, I'm going to trust myself. Let's see where this takes me. If it sucks, like things I've done before, then I'll allow myself to be wrong and then just move away from it, live on. So I went online and had to sit through kind of a not a really great webinar, but I endured it because I wanted to see, okay, how much is it? And you scroll down to the bottom because that's how I am. Okay, I see the first few lines of your copy. I get it. If I didn't pique my interest, I wouldn't be looking at this page. And that's how marketing works. So you draw me here. So I'm scrolling to the bottom. Oh, this training could cost hundreds of dollars. I totally get it, because if you're going to be allowed to certify through a well-established revenue-generating travel agency that's in 3 countries, and they can trickle down some money down to you, then I figured I get paid for access to training materials and kind of learn about the industry. I had to do that when I worked in law enforcement or security and anything else I've ever done. I had to retrain. I had to embrace and surrender to some new process. So this is no different. And I said, okay, I just do it. Maybe I could just make a little money. I knew that, and I'll talk about, when I talk about money, about offering value, you'll make a better connection than this tonight. But something started to click. I didn't really think about, I could easily book travel for other people, and it involves a whole lot more. I had to do websites and social media engagements, and I'm not good at it because at that point I was thinking of, I gotta come out of my shell, and no one likes to come out of their comfort zone, because I'm an introvert. I mean, I work well with the other kids, but if I had my druthers, yeah, I would be at home reading a book in a quiet corner, drink in hand, whatever, just listening to jazz, and I would be perfectly happy. But sometimes that's not feasible. So we all have to come outside and play with the other kids. It's time to break out. There's no need to, if you're going through what I'm just explaining to you in some fashion, does that relate to you in any way? Because the first thing you want to do is be ashamed of yourself, and to let me go. No, not for me. But you go back to that, and it's going to be a back and forth, and you want to hide. Well, I'm going to have to go into the real world again and seek employment and all that, and it's an unpleasant feeling. So since I already explained, I went the complete opposite way. I'm feeling pretty good about being wrong, so I dropped a little money in the bucket. So screw it, I'm just going to do it. I can retrain. I'm sitting right here, sip. It's a gin and tonic, exactly, what I was drinking. So it's not like I'm drunk or anything, but I'm making a really solid decision. Yeah, I'll do it. Let's see what it got. If I don't like it, I have a few days where I can get my money back. And, and if I don't, it wasn't a great deal of money. So I scrolled down to the bottom of the page, okay, and there was a back and forth, and trying to get a hold of the people that gave me access to the training and to the website. And eventually I did. And I thought, this is kind of weird. It was all over the place. It was like drinking from a fire hose. Yeah, drinking from a fire hose, because there was so much training. There's so many aspects and angles to selling travel that it wasn't overwhelming, but it was like, this is actually halfway interesting, because I've been a world traveler. So I've been in the military. I've worked for government agencies that shall not be named. I've had an opportunity to visit and actually work at U.S. embassies. So I got one leg up. I know a great deal about travel. I speak more than one language. I've been around all the cultures. I thought it might be fun. And it might be fun to actually bring that, the joy of travel again. well, this time it's going to be just for me. It's for purely for exploration. So yeah, I'm that rabbit hole. So I did the training and I just kind of paused it, and I was working on my websites and some videos, and I kind of coming back to it for a little bit, and I didn't take it very seriously at first, and then something hit me, like travel agents have perks. You want to know about magic? Get inside of an industry that sells something that people want. And I realized, can I do that? Can I go? even the other voices are saying, yeah, I got money. Do it. I booked myself on a cruise. And mind you that I served in the U.S. Navy. I had said many times in my life, I have no interest in going into a cruise. I actually knew nothing about them, which is interesting. I know normally I'm very curious, very inquisitive, but that was one of those things that I said, I really have no use. No, I don't want to do that. Plain and simple. And 21 days later, I find myself on a floating casino / resort on my way to the Bahamas. Bearing in mind that I grew up in the tropics, I grew up in Puerto Rico, so it's not a big deal going into tropical islands. I would just, if I wanted to go there, I would just fly and then book a hotel like everybody else does. Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. This was special. I had not been to sea, and I've surfed on a ship before. I have not been to sea for decades. In my early years, and just being out to sea was mesmerizing. The air is cool and crisp. Leaving Baltimore, we left Baltimore. We're still winter officially, and then we're rushing into warmer waters, and I got a deal of a lifetime in booking. First of all, I taught myself how to book a cruise as an agent, and I was the first customer. I mean, it worked out. And also, it gave me an opportunity to further investigate how this industry works. So it's twofold. There's two benefits. I get a lower price on a cabin, and I could choose one with a balcony, and because I was not going to sleep below the waterline. Not because I'm scared. I've been on a ship before, mainly because I've slept and lived in the belly of the beast before. So I wanted access to the ocean. I wanted a view. And people who lose their jobs don't go on cruises. They don't go on vacations, do they? And there was silence in my head. It's like, whoa, I totally tricked my brain. I'm going on a cruise, and it was an intellectual exercise at first. Yeah, I could do it. My hands could do it. My brain could do it. I have the card, and I have money to pay for it, much lower, and I have an opportunity to go someplace. And I booked some shore excursions, and not going to discuss them here. I did talk about horseback riding in one of my first episodes. That was transformative, but I'll go back into that later. This was the year to travel every month of the year. It doesn't matter if it's a local trip. It could be flying, it could be by rail. So since I never set any rules, there's only a picture of that vision board mock-up that I made where I would travel every month of 2022. Then it became a challenge. I'm not even on that trip yet, and I'm already thinking ahead. So I want to leave you with that thought tonight, because I'm already running over the line. Wow, this is a long time. So I guess I could probably continue on YouTube. So follow the rest of us. I'm not saying I'm cheap. I'm just saying that Spreaker expects me to pay for airtime. That's only logical. So I'll continue the rest of the story on my YouTube channel. How about that? So if you follow me, I'll be happy to host you. And please subscribe and follow my channel. I'm going to get better because, hey, I'm not afraid to be wrong. So anything goes at this point. I did book myself on a cruise to the Bahamas. I had a great time. And honestly, I didn't see it coming, but I manifested that from last year because I saw an opportunity to retrain, thinking I was going to go in one direction, and then suddenly I'm facilitating yet another desire. I really did want to travel, but this is not travel to promote some brands, like the cruise lines and all that. I mean, it's all business, but this is more. The podcasting idea started during the cruise because I have no idea what I'm doing, and when I said that to myself, I have no clue what I'm doing. That was the key, that I knew that I was prepared to change myself completely and become the person that I really am and that I really want to be. So we were definitely at a crossroads here. And the cruise was the opening shot, and I'm just reloading to see how the next one comes. Yeah. I got hit with a 2x4 to the back of the head by the universe. Message received. And has this happened to you? Because I want to know. So if you have, I don't have live streaming right now. I might do that in the future. I will come back to this topic of manifestation. If you see it, you start to believe after a while of feeding your brain that you can do it. It's just, when it happened to me, it was, it didn't seem like it was real, like it was really happening. So I find myself in a completely different place and time on a cruise ship, and it's something I never thought that I would have done, and yet there I was doing it. And I allowed myself to go along on this really transformative and extraordinary life change. And things are going to get so much better. And I really hope that for you. So in the pursuit of joy, I hope that my tone and my countenance tonight was much better than the past couple of weeks. I really think I was going a little bit too dark and taking way too long to arrive at the objective of my podcasting, which is to show you through examples and storytelling how to breach away, just get out of Plato's cave. And yes, I will explain Plato as a philosopher from Greece. You can look it up and then come back at me. Plato's cave, we all live in it. That's the whole point of this podcast. Getting out. Realizing that we're locked into some delusion that we cannot get out and do the things that we want to do. So I want to leave you with that. I guess I am finishing on time. Oh, how about that? So I want to give you a parting shot. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll chat at you again next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, and joy to you, joy to all. I love my smoothie. I guess I'm just waiting for the audio part of this to phase out, because I'm running out of time. 15 seconds. But I guess I can extend it for like another. That's 45 minutes. That's pretty generous, actually. It's not bad.